So I'm a program manager in the Business Central team. One of my responsibilities is analytics, reporting, Power BI, those kinds of things, both the platform parts, the capabilities in the platform, but also what we call content, which is the actual reports. And I thought I would give you a quick highlight of the features we added in this release wave. There's too much to show in 30 minutes, so I'll just give you the highlights. Before we do that, I want to use this, what I call the BI triangle, a model to understand how typically users in organizations use analytics and reporting, and because that's important in the types of things we do in this space. So the model goes like this. Whenever you move up here on this arrow here, when you move up in organizational hierarchy from staff to middle management to leadership, there is a natural need also to look at data more and more aggregated. So data aggregation follows organization hierarchy, which means that people who, what I typically say tongue-in-cheek, that the people doing the real work needs the detailed data. So this is where you would have operational reports or just on-screen tasks like what are my things I need to work on today or this week, things like that. When you move to middle management, it's typically that you need trends summarized, but also here is a type of persona that is also needing to do reporting where no reports actually exist. For reports that do exist, we have what we call managerial reports, overview reports, and we also have what's called ad hoc analysis or analysis mode or analysis views in Business Central. So this is typically where you have like in-client things, but you also have both operational reports and managerial reports, typically where we use Excel as both the way to lay out the reports, but also to consume it. So the results would be in Excel. Then when you move up to leadership, it's typically where you need performance data like KPIs or dashboards or financial reports. This is where you either likely use Power BI and or financial reporting, which is the Business Central like version of Management Reporter, just better, I think. And of course, there are no rules that people in leadership, of course, can use Excel reports and ad hoc analysis, and middle management can also use Power BI and financial reporting. But these are just typical ways to consume data in different parts of this organization. Okay, let's skip this and dive directly into the highlights. We have invested quite heavily in financial reporting. We have listened a lot to partners with GP clients over the last, I would say, 1.5 years, and then added a lot of things to the financial reporting feature that were like addressing gaps from Management Reporter. And I think we're getting pretty close on getting to do more than you can do in Management Reporter and better. So the first thing is that you now have, this is just the financial reporting overview, and we have added this new tile view where you can see all your reports with descriptions. So each of them have a pretty good, I would say, a nice description. You can see that we added in this release a life cycle, so status on report. So here is an active report. So that means that this is a report that has been prepared and is ready for report consumers, whereas this income statement is in draft state, and then it will not be. First of all, you communicate on report definitions and also the building blocks, whether it's a draft or ready to use, but also people who's not a report author cannot run the draft reports. They simply will not show up in their lists. Another thing we added from here is like the time and date from when you last ran the report, as well as you can see that we have, if I have them here, we have titles, but we also have, I don't know if I see it here, we also have report categories. So you can bundle these into, let's say, end of month reports or balance sheet reports. This is actually here showing the category up here, balance sheet, but if there's no category, it's not shown, which means you can also use the filter option in Business Central to filter your views on this page and only look at your balance sheet reports or your end of month reports and what have you. All right. Another, so this is like a ton of features that I just showed you in one go. We added what we call dimension perspectives in this release. And in Business Central, you have these dimensions you can set up, which is tagging your GL entries with, you have a dimension, maybe you have a dimension called organization, you have departments there, different departments. You can tag your financial records, your GL ledger entries. They can be tagged with these when you post. You have a number of these dimensions, and we are now making it possible to run a report across different values of that dimension. Let me give you an example. Here I have a balance sheet report, and I have set that this report should be run using the department dimension perspective. So what does that mean? If I take the report and use the PDF option here, I can also, instead of setting it on a report, I can also set it on what we call the request page. So you can override that choice when you run the report. So let's run it. And you notice here that the actual report is 3 pages, but the PDF is 15 pages. So what's going on here? So the balance sheet here, the first page, if we zoom out a bit, you can see that there's a pattern here, page 1, 2, 3. Then it seems like it's repeating 1, 2, 3, and so on. So what's going on? The page 4 is, instead of balance sheet, is actually the first value of the department dimension, which is administration. So in this, using this, you can run the balance sheet report globally, but also have a copy of the report for each value of that dimension. In this case, these are the administration, and then there are other departments. This also works in the Excel version of the report. So any financial report you can run either to PDF or to Excel. And if we look at that balance sheet report here and zoom in on the worksheets down here, you can see balance sheet is the global, but then you have one worksheet in Excel for each value of that dimension. So this is the global, but then if we choose the administration, you get the numbers filtered to the administration dimension. These perspectives you define one place, and then you can use them across all reports. So I showed you that demo with departments, but you can also have things working across dimensions. So in this case, I have created a dimension perspective that, you can choose to filter to only some values of a dimension. In this case, only some departments, administration and sales. But you can also run a financial report across all kind of values in different dimensions. So in this case, the perspective is taking both the department dimension, administration and sales, but also the customer group dimension, large, medium, and small, and then you get this cross product. So the perspective headers would be administration large, administration medium, and so on. And now you run with this perspective, you would then run across these 6 combinations. So you can mix and match. Another thing we added here in this wave is scheduling for financial reports. You can simply run a report every, let's say, Friday, give it a distribution group, send it to the report inbox in Business Central or to an email. You can choose to do the PDF, the Excel, or both. And there's an audit log for all the scheduling, so you know who got which reports and when. Speaking of auditing, we also have introduced in this wave audit logs either filtered to a given report or all invocations of all reports. So you can see here audit logs. You choose it for a specific report or all of them. And when you do that, you can see who ran which reports when, which format they got, whether they viewed on screen, whether they got the PDF, whether they got it in Excel. And you can see whether the report was scheduled. You can also take this, and this is one of our key analytics features, any list in Business Central you can take into what we call analysis mode. For that log table, we have some default views, so you can filter it easily to the last 30 days or year to date. But then you can also take this little icon here, which is taking that page into analysis mode. This changes the list into an in-client grouping and pivot experience. And here I then have created a mini report on the financial reporting saying who ran what when. You can see it's grouped by user report, and then you can see the details for that. Each of these also, as a new thing, come with tooltips. So whenever I create this as a user, similar to Smart List, this is our Smart Lists on steroids. So all pages you can create your own analysis views, and then you can add these tooltips. You can share these. You can even, developers can ship these out of the box with their apps, and a Business Central extension or app can bring their own of these analysis views to the Business Central application. All right, let's shift gears to sales. So in sales, in this release wave, we have a quite powerful sales Power BI app that is free, meaning there's no license for it for Business Central. You can just it's even open source. You would need a Power BI Pro license to use it, but apart from that, we're giving all of that IP away for free. And in this release wave, we added the last two reports that I think we will invest in this for now, which has to do with customer loyalty. So you have these retention reports where you can see net new customers, returning customers, or recovered customers, or even churned customers, like lost customers. Lost customer meaning that you haven't they stopped buying and you haven't seen them for a while. You can see this overview by location. Any of the Power BI reports on Business Central can be filtered. So there's a normal Power BI filter pane here, and any dimension you can see here, like customer or the type of retention or location or what have you. You can filter to all of that, and this is fully interactive. So if you choose the US, the numbers will show there. And it has also a history version. So here you can, for instance, look at your temporarily lost, meaning that they fortunately you got them back, but also lost customers. You can see that over time, and all of these types of churning or not churning, you can see them in these historical overviews. Another thing we added in this release wave was shifting to inventory. We added the ability to do APC analysis for the most sold items you have on stock. And you can do that either in Power BI or in Excel. So let me just give you a brief tour of that. So APC analysis is a type of analysis where you take your stock, your inventory, your types of items, and then you divide them into these boundaries of A, B, and C. So class A, and you can configure what, if you believe your type A is between 0 and 60%, that you can define these boundaries as long as they sum to 100. Class A meaning in the original ABC literature is that up to from 0 to 50% of all your revenue sales is coming from these items. It's not that you classify your items, it's that the algorithm is doing that for you. So you can see based on how you sell, it seems like Athens desk, Atlanta whiteboard, and the Antwerp conference table. These are the types of items that summarize up to to the 50% of what you sell. This means that you should probably make sure that you always have your type class A stock on hand, or at least your supply chain processes are tighter, or maybe you have multiple vendors so that you never run out of these, or because if you do, then you lose the things you sell the most. And then class B is the things that 30% of your stocks are going here. In this case, you can't really completely fit. It depends on your on your numbers, but 31% of your sales is covered by B, and you see the B, class B here. You also see that in this visual here, class A, class B, and class C. Right. So that analysis you can do with the Power BI app for inventory that also has a lot of other inventory related analysis and KPIs. You can also, we also made it possible to do the same type of analysis with a new Excel report or a report with an Excel layout. So here you have in the APC analysis report a printable version. So you can print, you can see the A, B, and C's here and the items and what have you. Then you can also get a quick same kind of structure you got from Power BI. What are my A, B, C classes, and what's the value of the sales? And you can see these boundaries 50, 30, and 20%. And finally, you can get the detailed analysis here where you can use a pivot table and slicers, and you can slice and dice that both on the inventory posting group dimension or inventory posting group, as well as class A, B, and C. Now, you can set all this up, what you mean by A, B, and C percentages here, as long as they sum to 100, everything is hunky-dory. And other things we did for this wave was we did a lot of modernization on the out-of-the-box inventory reports, gave them all for analytics. We gave them Excel layouts. So not only ABC analysis, we also made a new item aged composition by quantity and value. So you can see both of these older reports are now in one Excel workbook. So you can see that here that both the value and the quantity has a printable and an analysis tab. And then just a modernization of all these legacy reports. You can see the old vendor purchase report. Now it has a Word layout and an Excel layout. So we modernized all the analytical reports that are built into Business Central, either with a printable version in Word, meaning that Word is the layout engine, and also if you want to change the layout for this particular layout, you can just export this, open it in Word, and change things, and then upload it back to Business Central. Same thing goes with all the Excel layouts. They are meant to be layouted in Excel. If you don't like the colors, if you want other types of analysis, you just export the layout to Excel, do your thing, upload it again, and make this layout the way you want to see the inventory vendor purchase data. And we did this modernization for all of these inventory reports in this wave. All right, then platform. We did analysis mode. As I mentioned, we did this ability to ship analysis views with the base application. And then that allows us to take lists and just have pre-ship mini reports to them. So this is the new permission overview taken. This is a new audit report that we also added, or it's not a report, it's just a list page. But we then added, if you take this into analysis mode, you can take that permissions overview and slice and dice it any way you like and have different audit reports out of the box. Here I made one that's permissions that allow delete. Now you can see on which objects which permission sets allow users to delete data on which objects. We did this across the base app for this 2026 release wave 1. For instance, on changelog, which is old features in Business Central. If you take the changelog entries page into analysis mode, first of all, we added some views, so it's easier to look at your changelog if you only want to see what changed last 7 days. But we also added these two out-of-the-box mini reports or analysis views, who changed what data when, or the other pivot would be data changes by date, table, and field. And we did this type of analysis in different places. Here you see on the item ledger entries, we have a dead stock analysis view. If you don't get them pre-shipped, you can always create these by, you can do it yourself. It's fairly easy. Just pick your columns or set some filters, take it into into pivot mode if you want that. And then you can share these with your coworkers. If you want to get an overview of this as seen from our Microsoft Learn, there's a short link here called aka.ms/VC Analytics. So this is for users. This will take you to an overview page with a lot of ways to navigate to whatever you find interesting. They also come these in functional area specific pages. So whenever you go to Business Central documentation for a functional area like sales, each of these areas have their own parts in Microsoft Learn: sales analytics, purchasing analytics, finance analytics, and what have you. That takes this content, and this content, by the way, uses that BI triangle I introduced in the beginning, and each of the functional specific landing pages and documentation pages or articles use the same. So for sales, we're identifying personas in sales in these like leadership, middle management, staff, and then introducing what types of analytical artifacts or reports exist for each of these. So go check that out if you work in sales or finance and what have you. There are some easy to remember links if you want to dive directly into something. And it's just remember aka.ms/BC Business Central, then the area, finance, sales, purchasing, and so on, and analytics. And that takes you to these functional area specific landing pages. Yeah. If you don't like to read things, but like to watch videos, there's a different way that I will just show you here. If I'm wondering if I'm sharing my, I'm still sharing my, let me see if I can share my screen instead of that. I hope that works. I don't have a minute left, so I'm hoping that, can you see my screen here? Please just say something. We couldn't make that to work, but I'll share that anyway. So there's a playlist here on YouTube called Reporting and Data Analytics that takes you through each functional area, both for the current release, but also back in time. And if you want to learn more about what happens in sales or other places, check that